it's just amazing. LeBron had 40 points last night. He flexed. Imagine driving to work. For 17 years, over half my audience listens to me, not watches me. They listen on radio or a podcast. So if you're driving to work now, imagine driving to work for 17 years knowing you have to carry everybody again today or tonight. Meet LeBron James. He steps off the floor, and that's playing with Anthony Davis, somebody that you keep telling me is the second or third best player in the league. LeBron steps off the floor, and the Laker offense dies. It evaporates. He gives you everything. LeBron can do mid-range. He'll hit a three. He can penetrate. He can distribute. You need a rebound. This year he decided to lead the league in assists. He is an unbelievable talent, and last night was a flex. The NBA is full of guys who are long and athletic, and they've got one special skill. But the league, everybody in this league except LeBron has a hole in their game. Kawhi Leonard doesn't pass. The Raptors were 17-5 last year when he didn't play. Giannis can't shoot. He's not a great shooter. He's got great length, coachable, energy. Damian Lillard is tiny. He's a defensive liability. James Harden. What about him? Have you watched May the last 4 years? Anthony Davis. I don't even trust him physically. He got hurt again last night. Anthony Davis was in New Orleans for 7 years. He had a playoff win. One series, one time. And it was mostly a series in which the guards were great against Dame and C.J. McCullough. The knock on LeBron has always been this. Well, he comes to your team. And, he just takes the team over. Yeah, that's because he can do everything. That's because he is the greatest Swiss Army knife in the history of the sport. I've been watching basketball since 1972. I remember the year. I remember the game. Portland Trail Blazers, Los Angeles Lakers. Wilt had a headband. Jerry West was there too. I remember the game. I was on a bunk bed, top bunk. I watched it. CBS, Brett Musburger, play-by-play. Remember the game. There's never been a basketball player like LeBron. Ever. Not Michael. Michael couldn't shoot threes like this. Michael couldn't pass like this. Michael wasn't as strong as this. Michael didn't last like this. Michael didn't make everybody better. Michael Jordan went 8 years between the James Worthy title and the Scottie Pippen emergence without winning a title. Wasn't even getting to finals. In fact, he got beat by North Carolina State. He didn't have the best college team in his own state. Volvano beat him once James Worthy left. Come on. You keep telling me about how good Trae Young can shoot. So, this league's got a bunch of talented guys that can do stuff at a really high level. Damian Lillard, watch him live. Whoa, get a bucket, dude. But he's a defensive liability, can't stop anybody. He's tiny. LeBron James Kawhi Leonard is the second best player in the league, and the Raptors are a number 2 seed without him, and were 17-5 last year when he didn't play. Lakers offense is unwatchable the second LeBron steps off the floor. You all told me Kyrie Irving. Man, remember when this used to be an argument? I'm not joking. This used to be an argument. Hey, what has LeBron done, in Cleveland without Kyrie? Have you watched Kyrie's act since LeBron and him separated? He's hurt again and uncoachable again. And Brooklyn's got a better record when he doesn't play again. And Boston now is way better without him. Y'all kept telling me it was a Kyrie thing. Kyrie's career borders on bust as a number 1 pick if you take the LeBron years out. People were saying before LeBron got there, uncoachable, always hurt, nobody likes him. LeBron left, all that stuff's come back. Nobody likes him, uncoachable, doesn't win, and he's hurt again. As a number 1 pick, Kyrie's career, take LeBron out, he's just gifted like the rest of this league. You can't get to this league without being gifted. You just can't get it. I've gone to events that have had baseball players and hockey players and basketball players, NBA players and NFL players. NBA players just look different. The length, the size. They're just gifted. And they're all great at something. And several are like out of this world at something, like Damian Lillard shooting, Steph Curry shooting. But to watch LeBron last night, he does everything well. Last night, he's an old man. He had 17 fast break points. That's like an old man going up to Usain Bolt and go, "Excuse me, young man, I'm gonna be in lane 3." Phew, running past him. He had 17 fast break points. So, and you know what's funny about this? For years and years, you kept telling me about Anthony Davis. Okay, you kept telling me about him, and I like Anthony Davis. I think he's the top 5-6 player in the league. But when you put Anthony Davis and LeBron together on the same team, you guys see the gap, right? Like Anthony Davis, 60th in the NBA in fourth quarter scoring. Last night, Anthony Davis, 6 for 20. Last night, Anthony Davis hurt again. When you put LeBron and AD on the same floor, it is the Grand Canyon of a gap. You can keep hating on this guy and criticizing this guy. I mean, old man flex last night. Good for LeBron. Okay, here's a rule, and I'm going to say it. Who is Nick Saban's best friend in coaching, Joy?
Bill Belichick.
Winners like winners. Winners don't like hanging around losers. Winners don't like hanging around mediocre people. Stars hang out with stars. Winners hang out with winners. And the NBA, more than any league in the world, maybe international soccer is close, is a star-driven league. LeBron stayed in Cleveland for years, and then he went to the Olympics. He was like, I can play with guys like that. And LeBron came back to Cleveland. He's like, I want to go play with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. LeBron for years stayed in Cleveland, and he was loyal, and he didn't leave. And then he started sampling playing with other great players. It's like, damn, you're going from like a steak, like that's a steakhouse, and just getting a steak. You can go to a lot of restaurants and get a steak, but you go to a good steakhouse and get a steak, you're like, that. You stop going to the other restaurants that also have steak on the menu, but they're not steakhouses. So Giannis is a star. We know Milwaukee does not attract free agents. It doesn't. It's like Utah. It's a great NBA franchise, but they don't attract free agents. Here's a rumor, and it's not a bad one, and I believe it to be true. The Warriors acquired Andrew Wiggins for one reason, to get Giannis. Remember, Wiggins makes a lot of money. In order to trade for Giannis, you have to have a huge salary. Wiggins makes a lot of money. They're also going to have the number 1 pick in the draft and Minnesota's pick, which will be a lottery pick. Can Milwaukee do better than Andrew Wiggins and 2 lottery picks? I'll say it again. The key to this league, because this would change the league if he goes to Golden State. It will change the league. You thought Durant and the Warriors were good. Durant gone. Giannis, Steph, Draymond, and Clay. No thank you. That you might as well just set your clock to those guys in the finals. If Chris Middleton for Milwaukee does what he did last year in the playoffs and shrinks, Giannis is gone. Winners want to hang out with winners. Stars want to hang out with stars. Belichick and Saban. Belichick has to go to college to find a guy he wants to hang out with. Saban's got to go to the pros to find a guy he wants to talk to. Winners hang out with winners. Last year, Chris Middleton, in that series against Toronto, had 1 game over 14 points. We know about the NBA. The refs, Joy and I talk about this, the refs swallow the whistle. The refs don't want to get in the way of the series. And so what happens in the NBA playoffs, guys who are not comfortable in that physical space, they shrink. James Harden shrinks. People play real defense, and the refs swallow the whistle. So James Harden doesn't get the call in the playoffs. He's a great player, but he's not as dominant in the playoffs. Paul George is a very talented player. Doesn't always like the physicality of it. Paul George shrinks in the playoffs. Now, Kawhi can be physical. LeBron can be physical. D. Wade, physical. Paul Pierce could be physical. The late Kobe could be physical. Shaq could be physical. Those guys don't shrink in the playoffs. The NBA playoffs, refs swallow whistles. It's a players and a stars league. Young guys shrink, and guys that don't like physicality shrink. Chris Middleton shrinks. Remember last year against Toronto? Milwaukee up 2-0, series over, game 3 win, series over. Chris Middleton was 3 for 16. Evaporated. Folks, that happens again. Giannis is out. Stars hang with stars. Winners hang with winners. He's not sticking around in Milwaukee with Chris Middleton, who's a nice kid and a 20-a-night regular season player. But you get to the postseason. Boston plays defense and gets physical. Toronto plays defense and gets physical. Okay, Philadelphia's got size and can be physical. Get ready for it, Milwaukee. This rumor, Golden State can offer perhaps the number 1 pick, another lottery pick, and Andrew Wiggins' salary matches up. And right now, never forget this. This is why, and this will change the league. Giannis will go from Chris Middleton's my number 2 to Steph is my number 2, Clay is my number 3, and Draymond is my number 4. That is a 5-year dynasty. That is, you don't want any part of that. That would go down as potentially, that would rival Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen's Bulls. That one you'd be like, okay, they shoot better than the Bulls, they're better inside than the Bulls, and they got a great coach. That would be an all-time team. And Giannis knows it. And don't kid yourself. The timing is perfect. Think about this. LeBron has left the East. This is why Milwaukee has to win now. They have to win the East. LeBron left the East. Kawhi left the East. The Sixers are gifted but dysfunctional. KD this year is hurt. This is the year. Middleton shrinks. Giannis would be out of his mind not to sign an extension. He'd be out of his mind. He's a smart kid. And by the way, he's done everything you've asked of him in Milwaukee. Don't blame him. He's done everything. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he just signs an extension tomorrow to put these things to rest. But Milwaukee does not attract free agents. And if I can go from Chris Middleton's my 2 to Steph, and then Clay and Draymond, I'm going 74 and 8. What's 74 plus 8 is 82. Yes, that's my record. So I think this story is real. I think the window is now. If Milwaukee cannot win the East with KD out, LeBron, Kawhi out, Sixers talented but dysfunctional, you can't win it this year. It's not getting easier. All those good Celtic players, Jason Tatum's 21. You got Jaylen Brown. They're all getting better. Jason Tatum has made a huge leap this year from year 1 to year 2. I mean, he is a top 7 player in the league. That kid can put it on the deck. He can shoot. He can score. He can drive. Jason Tatum now, he's not getting worse. He is going to be a star for a decade. Jaylen Brown now. Kyrie's gone, giving you 20. So these young Celtics are only getting better. And they draft like you know what. So and they have picks. I am so fired up today. Chris Haynes joining us, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing senior NBA insider, Yahoo Sports. He was doing sidelines last night for the Pelicans and Lakers. Again, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Have you ever driven a Mercedes-Benz, Chris? Because you need to get one. Now, I know you're doing sidelines. Why don't you just pull up to that sideline job in a Mercedes? It would just fit you perfectly. Nice job last night. Okay, I love me some Zion. And you know what? This is the thing. A lot of critics of him. Joy, we liked Zion.
We love Zion.
A lot of people are nitpicking. We kept saying his self-awareness. He is, I loved at Duke. The shoe blows up. Mm-hmm. Everybody's like, you can't play. He's like, I like basketball. I want to play. And he says, you got to go to the NBA. He's like, I'd actually prefer staying in college, but for business, I'm going to go. There's something about this kid. There's an earnestness and a likability. And by the way, Chris, I'm watching him last night. He got how many free throw attempts? 17? Mm-hmm. He is a problem. Mm-hmm. He's played 13 games, 12. He's been exceptional.
Yeah. What I'm impressed by, Colin, is that, look, we know he's physical. We know he's big and strong. But he was pushing Markieff Morris out the way like it wasn't even a problem. I'm like, this is Markieff Morris. Like, there's a couple players like you don't mess with in the league. Markieff Morris is one of those dudes. And then he was taking it right at AD.
Right at him. No hesitation. Right at him.
That was impressive. That was downright impressive. That was my first time watching him live.
Look at these moves. Look at the power. God, I love watching him.
You know what? And for his skill set, the way he's built, it's just unprecedented. We've never seen anybody like this.
I think he's got the more I watch him, I see Sean Kemp with a little better touch. He's got a beautiful left-handed touch. Sean was really a power player.
Yeah. I see that, and you know, there's comparisons to Charles Barkley as well, but there's nobody like him, Colin. The size, the way he gets up. There was a play where he grabbed the offensive rebound. He was challenging Dwight Howard for the rebound, and he was just so much higher than Dwight Howard off the ground. It was ridiculous.
What's the reaction inside of Staples for him? What is the buzz? Can you sense the buzz?
Oh, you definitely can sense the buzz. Like this was, you know, it was the Lakers and Pelicans, but it had the buzz and intensity of a playoff game. Like these two teams were.
Oh, I sat for rivals. 2.5 hours, watched every second of it.
It was this guy. He's box office. Period. Box office. He's a guy when you get the ball to him in space, he can make, you know, he can do some unbelievable
what's amazing,
things.
Chris? They don't now the Pelicans are funny because they just run.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do many set plays.
It's fun to watch.
They're fun to watch. He's getting these numbers. They're not designing a bunch of plays for him. He's rolling out of bed and getting you 27. It's not like, you know, you watch certain teams. You see Steph Curry coming off the screens. They're setting Steph up. There's plays. He's getting 26. Not a lot of numbers called for him. It's just get me the ball in space and let me go.
Pin downs and things like that. But yeah, not really any called plays for him to go ISO. But that's when you know he's going to be a problem because those plays are going to come eventually. He's going to be the number one option sooner or later, and that's going to add 8 or 10 more points just right there. And so, you know, look, like I said, my only thing is, you know, I want the kid to stay healthy.
Yes.
I want to see him have a long, prosperous career just to see what his potential is going to be.
Yeah, everybody tells me he should thin down. How about you try stopping him at 270 before everybody lectures Zion on occasional Twinkies he knocks down at halftime? Because I keep hearing about how thin he's got to get, and I'm like, no, Charles Barkley was a problem.
Yeah.
He had a big butt, and Charles was hard to defend, and Charles was big, and he was never in the world's best shape, but Charles Barkley in transition was a problem. Zion in transition, you try to stop this kid when he's coming at you. I remember when LeBron broke in this league. People were like, I'm not taking a charge on that.
Yeah. Suicide.
No way. Okay.
But that's why, because, not to cut you off real quick, but that's why I say he's an unprecedented figure because most humans and athletes, we're going to naturally get bigger. Whether that's, you know, lifting weights, bulk up, humans, you know, naturally, that happens. Does that happen for Zion? Can he afford for that to happen? Does he stay the same or does he have to, you know, lose 10 or 15? That's what I say. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. And that's why I say it's unprecedented.
I know what the answer is. 27.5 points a night, shooting 52%. That's what the answer is.
So stay the same.
Again, you can tell me. People used to tell me, you can't talk this, this, and this. And I said, well, if I get ratings, I can talk anything.
Yeah.
Never bring up politics.
And
I was like, well, okay. Well, I used to talk them and get numbers. So everybody's trying to smush everybody back in the middle. Just be who you are.
That's what I said. Unprecedented.
Zion, lean into those Twinkies.
We don't know this is Twinkies, Colin.
Whatever he's eating. I'm over here now. He's got to thin down because nobody can stop him at this weight. Chris Haynes coming back. Don't go anywhere. Chris Haynes, insider Yahoo Sports, former Warrior Cav reporter, also did the sidelines last night for TNT. I want to talk about, there's a story out today about Giannis and that we know this, Chris. Winners like to play with winners. Stars like to play with stars in this league. And it gets very, very frustrating after you've made a bunch of money and you get eliminated in the first round. Guys get over it. And Giannis is a great kid, and he's a loyal kid. But last year, Chris Middleton evaporated. Okay? His second best player in Golden State would be Steph. His third, Clay. His fourth, Draymond. And they also draft the heck out of the league. If they go through the Eastern Conference playoffs, and they do not get to the finals, and Chris Middleton, like last year against Toronto, disappears, I do not believe you can blame Giannis for saying, listen, man, I'm in my prime. Milwaukee does not get free agents. I said this. These rumors, Golden State could give him Wiggins' contract and 2 lottery picks, the T-Wolves and theirs. Not sure you're getting a better offer. And again, Giannis can go, you know, I mean, I think this has legs. I think this story has legs.
There's the rumors have been out there for a couple years now.
Yeah.
With that being said, I do think Milwaukee is the favorite to get out of the East.
Toronto and Boston.
I like Toronto and Boston.
Jason Tatum now is a star.
I still will go with Milwaukee to come out of the East.
And if they do, that to me, Middleton is good enough to get you to the finals. I think Giannis. No, I think Giannis. It's not fair. If you get to a Super Bowl, then you're good enough to win one.
Yeah, okay.
If Jimmy Garoppolo got to a Super Bowl, I don't want to hear that he's not good enough to win one. Joe Flacco won one. Okay, if Giannis gets to finals, I could see Giannis going, and listen, we lost to the Clippers. We lost to LeBron. If you get to the finals, you're good enough to win the finals. But if they don't get through Boston or Toronto.
Okay. The only problem I have, and I know Giannis pretty well, he doesn't like working out in the summer with other stars. He doesn't like hanging out. He declined to do LeBron Space Jam movie. He's a different cat. So the way I know that he's wired and geared up, it's hard to imagine, even looking at the circumstances of if they didn't make it to the finals, it's hard to imagine him going to team up with other stars, if that makes any sense. He's not the type that goes...
Is he the type that keeps losing in the Eastern Conference Finals and is happy with it?
Well, no. Well, I think, look, I'm not saying the Warriors are not in play, but I'm just, it depends on the circumstance of how the season ends. But it's just the way he's wired, it's hard for me to see that as of right now. Because I do think they will come out of the East.
All right.
And, but, if something catastrophic happens, you never know.
Last year, Toronto series, they're up 2-0 to Toronto, Game 3. Chris Middleton 3 for 16.
I understand, but Kawhi's not over there anymore.
All right.
There's a little bit of an open path now.
Okay.
So that's the only reason I say that.
This is the year for them. They better win because KD's hurt. Sixers dysfunctional.
You have to look. I think there's 4, maybe 3.5 teams that have a legitimate shot at winning the title. I think there's only 2 teams in the West. That's my case. And then I think it's Milwaukee and Boston. Boston's playing a little bit better now. That's why I'm, inserting them in there. But if Milwaukee doesn't get it done this year, that's when I'm concerned if I'm the Bucks franchise.
Chris Haynes joining us. So last night, LeBron. Mm-hmm. As you get older in life, you can still be great, but you don't have the ability to generally be great every night. Okay. So LeBron last night, young guy comes in town. LeBron scores 17 fast break points. Mm-hmm. That's what the young kids call a flex. Did you notice how did you watch LeBron last night? Up and down the floor like a kid?
Yeah, he was getting up.
We can agree now. He's still the best player in the league.
I've never rescinded from that. I took some heat about that, but
did Broussard give you heat on that? Skip,
Skip. But look, I don't argue with folks if they want to say Kawhi.
Look at that LeBron dunk.
It's up for debate. But look, he had multiple factors. There was multiple factors that had its way in producing what LeBron James gave us. The Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, they were back. He had to show them something. Zion Williamson, comparison to LeBron, had to show them something. Then they left Drew Holiday out there on the island. And I think LeBron took that as a little bit of disrespect. This is a 6'3" point guard. I know he's good in defense, but he can't guard me one-on-one. And I think hey, but you termed it flex. He did that all night.
Oh, man, LeBron was fun last night. You know what? We did this with Tiger Woods. We just kept nitpicking. It's like, can you folks just put your arms around Tiger? I'm watching LeBron last night, and he is having so much fun last night.
You know what? To your point, when you said that, there are certain players that we just nitpick their whole career, and then when their career is over, we like, damn, like we really didn't appreciate or value him.
Like Michael Jordan, we did appreciate.
We did. Hey, but before, my first year covering league was in 2011, I believe. And Kobe was that guy for me. I was always a Jordan guy growing up. And so I never really got Kobe. I was like, man, he's a Jordan clone. It's fake. You know what I mean? I really didn't appreciate him for what he was. Then when his career is over, you're like, man, like, damn, I didn't really value what he brought to the table. I think a lot of people do that to LeBron as well.
Yeah. Yeah, last night was a classic. Oh, all the young guys back in town. Lead singer took the mic and said, I'm going to do a little, I'm gonna stand on stage here for about 2.5 hours, show you guys who still got the pipes.
Hey,
I may not be able to tour like you kids, but I still got the pipes. I can still win the house.
No doubt. National TV, he had to show out.
Good stuff. Good seeing you, Chris.
Likewise, my guy.